In the fast-paced world we live in, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the constant stream of emotions we experience daily. From moments of joy to waves of anger, frustration, or sadness, our emotions seem to control us at times. But what if we could take back control and not be swept away by these emotions? What if we could find a deep, lasting peace within ourselves, regardless of external circumstances? This is exactly what Buddhism teaches us, that inner peace is not something we find outside ourselves, but rather something we must nurture and cultivate from within. Buddhism offers a unique perspective on emotions. Instead of viewing emotions as something to suppress or control, it encourages us to understand their true nature. Emotions, according to Buddhist teachings, are like waves on the ocean. They come and go, and we don't have to let them define or overwhelm us. The first step in cultivating inner peace is to become aware of these emotions, to recognize them as they arise, and to observe them without judgment. This process of awareness creates space for peace to emerge, allowing us to maintain our calm even in the most challenging situations. At the heart of this practice lies mindfulness, a core concept in Buddhism. Mindfulness is the art of being present, fully aware of our thoughts, feelings, and sensations, without being distracted by past regrets or future anxieties. It's the practice of observing the world as it is, in this very moment, and responding with clarity, rather than reacting impulsively. In Buddhism, mindfulness helps us to detach from the constant chatter of the mind and allows us to connect with the present moment, grounding us in the here and now. One of the greatest challenges we face in our modern lives is the tendency to get caught up in our emotions. When we feel angry, for example, it can be tempting to react immediately, perhaps saying something we regret or acting in a way that isn't true to our values. But mindfulness teaches us to pause before we act, to take a step back and reflect. By observing our emotions and reactions without judgment, we create space between stimulus and response. This space allows us to choose a thoughtful, measured response, rather than being driven by unconscious impulses. Buddhist teachings remind us that we are not our emotions. Emotions are temporary and fleeting, just like the waves on the ocean. They don't define who we are. By practicing mindfulness, we can learn to observe these waves without getting caught up in them, allowing us to maintain a sense of peace and clarity. Rather than reacting to every emotional wave that comes our way, we can learn to ride them with grace and wisdom, allowing them to pass without losing our equilibrium. But mindfulness isn't just about observing emotions. It's also about cultivating compassion and understanding towards ourselves and others. When we become mindful of our emotions, we develop a deeper sense of empathy. We realize that others, too, are navigating their own emotional waves, and we can respond to them with patience and kindness. This sense of compassion extends not only to others but also to ourselves. In Buddhism, self-compassion is a vital part of the path to inner peace. When we are kind to ourselves, we can begin to heal the wounds of the past and let go of negative patterns that prevent us from experiencing true peace. Buddhism also teaches us that peace is not about eliminating emotions, but about transforming our relationship with them. Instead of trying to suppress or avoid difficult emotions, we are encouraged to face them with mindfulness and compassion. This process of transformation allows us to develop a sense of equanimity, a balanced state of mind where we can face the ups and downs of life with calmness and clarity. Equanimity is a key component of inner peace. It allows us to remain unshaken, even when life presents us with challenges, knowing that our emotions do not define us and that we have the ability to respond with wisdom. In order to cultivate this peace, Buddhist practices offer a variety of tools and techniques. Meditation is one of the most powerful practices for developing mindfulness and inner peace. Through meditation, we learn to quiet the mind, to let go of distractions, and to focus on the present moment. As we meditate, we become more attuned to the fluctuations of our thoughts and emotions, learning to observe them without getting caught up in them. This practice of observation helps us to develop a deeper understanding of the nature of our emotions and how they arise. In addition to meditation, Buddhism encourages the practice of right speech, right action, and right livelihood. These ethical practices help us to create harmony in our lives, aligning our actions with our values and intentions. By cultivating mindfulness in every aspect of our lives, we begin to live more consciously, making choices that promote peace and well-being for ourselves and those around us. The journey towards inner peace in Buddhism is not a quick fix, but a gradual process of self-awareness, transformation, and growth. It requires patience, dedication, and a willingness to face our emotions with courage and compassion. But the rewards of this practice are immeasurable. When we learn to cultivate mindfulness, we not only transform our relationship with our emotions, but we also begin to experience a profound sense of peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. So, how do we begin this journey? The first step is simple: become aware of your emotions. Instead of reacting impulsively, take a moment to pause and reflect. Observe your emotions with curiosity, without judgment, and notice how they arise and fade. The next step is to practice mindfulness, to stay present in each moment, to be aware of your thoughts and feelings, and to respond with calmness and clarity. And finally, cultivate compassion for yourself and others. Understand that emotions are part of the human experience, but they do not define you. By practicing these principles, we can begin to cultivate true inner peace, a peace that is unshakable, unwavering, and always available to us, no matter what life brings. Through mindfulness, we create space for peace to emerge. Through compassion, we nurture that peace within ourselves and others. And through understanding, we transform our relationship with our emotions, cultivating a deeper sense of inner calm that remains steadfast, even in the midst of life's storms. This is the foundation of inner peace in Buddhism. It's a practice that, when nurtured and embraced, has the power to transform our lives, bringing us closer to the peace we seek, and allowing us to live with greater wisdom, compassion, and joy. In our daily lives, we encounter a whirlwind of emotions, from anger and fear to anxiety and sadness. These emotions can sometimes feel overwhelming, controlling our thoughts, actions, and relationships. But what if there was a way to better understand these emotions and, ultimately, manage them with wisdom and calm? Buddhism offers profound insights into this very question, teaching us how to navigate our emotional landscape with mindfulness and detachment, ultimately leading us to a state of peace and emotional balance. At the core of Buddhist philosophy is the understanding that our emotions often arise from attachment and desire. Whether it's the desire for success, comfort, recognition, or even control over our circumstances, these desires create an attachment to specific outcomes. When things don't go as we expect or hope, we can feel frustration, anger, or disappointment. Similarly, when we cling to the idea that life should always be perfect or that we deserve certain things, we are setting ourselves up for emotional turmoil. The root cause of this suffering, as Buddha teaches, is attachment, the need for things to be a particular way. Buddhism offers a transformative way to deal with emotions: detachment. However, it's important to note that detachment in Buddhism doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent toward our experiences. Rather, it means understanding that everything in life is impermanent. The Buddha famously said, "Nothing lasts forever," and this truth is the foundation of emotional management in Buddhist teachings. When we come to terms with the reality that everything, including our emotions, is transient, we can let go of our attachment to specific outcomes and desires. This understanding opens the door to emotional freedom. Imagine a moment when you're feeling overwhelmed by a strong emotion, whether it's anger, fear, or anxiety. Your initial instinct may be to react, to let the emotion dictate your behavior or thoughts. But Buddhist principles invite us to pause in such moments. Instead of letting the emotion control us, we are encouraged to acknowledge it, observe it, and then let it pass. Just like a wave crashing onto the shore, emotions come and go. They may be intense for a moment, but with mindfulness, we can allow them to recede naturally without being carried away by them. This process of detachment doesn't mean ignoring our emotions or suppressing them. On the contrary, Buddhism encourages us to embrace our emotions with awareness. The practice of mindfulness allows us to observe our emotions without judgment or resistance. By acknowledging our feelings as they arise, we develop the ability to simply observe them without getting caught up in their intensity. It's like watching a storm pass overhead. We can acknowledge its presence, but we don't have to be swept away by it. When we accept that emotions, like all things, are temporary, we can experience them fully without holding onto them. In Buddhism, this process is known as cultivating equanimity, a mental state of balance and calmness that remains undisturbed by the fluctuations of life. Equanimity doesn't mean we become emotionless or detached from reality. Instead, it means we learn to respond to our emotions with wisdom and clarity rather than reacting impulsively. For example, when anger arises, we may initially feel the urge to lash out or blame others. But with mindfulness, we can pause and observe the anger without acting on it. We can acknowledge that the anger is a temporary feeling, and rather than letting it control us, we can choose to respond thoughtfully and with compassion. This understanding of impermanence is key to transforming our relationship with our emotions. When we realize that everything is fleeting, including our desires and attachments, we can loosen our grip on these things. For instance, we may feel anxious about an important event or a future outcome, but if we remember that nothing is permanent, we can ease that anxiety. The outcome may not be what we expect, but that's okay. Life will go on, and we can adapt. By relinquishing the need for things to turn out exactly as we want them, we can begin to experience greater peace of mind. Buddhist teachings also emphasize the importance of mindfulness in managing emotions. Mindfulness is the practice of staying present in the moment, fully aware of our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without getting distracted or overwhelmed by them. This practice of awareness allows us to observe our emotions with a sense of detachment, creating space between the emotion and our response. For example, when we feel fear, we can observe the physical sensations in our body, such as a racing heart or tightness in the chest, without allowing those sensations to define us. Through mindfulness, we learn to see our emotions as passing phenomena rather than fixed parts of who we are. Moreover, Buddhism teaches that emotional suffering arises when we resist or deny our feelings. Instead of suppressing difficult emotions, we are encouraged to accept them as they are. In this sense, Buddhism invites us to embrace our emotions with compassion, for ourselves and for others. By practicing self-compassion, we acknowledge that we, too, are vulnerable to emotional upheaval, and we offer ourselves kindness rather than judgment. This sense of compassion extends beyond ourselves, allowing us to approach the emotions of others with empathy. When we understand that everyone experiences emotional turbulence, we are better equipped to respond with patience and understanding, fostering healthier relationships and a more peaceful mind. Detachment in Buddhism is not about escaping the world or withdrawing from experiences. It's about engaging with life fully, while recognizing that our desires and emotions do not define us. By developing this understanding, we can face challenges with a sense of inner peace and emotional resilience. Rather than being pulled into the drama of life's ups and downs, we can remain grounded in the present moment, responding to situations with clarity, compassion, and wisdom. One of the most profound ways to practice emotional management in Buddhism is through meditation. Meditation is a tool that helps us develop mindfulness and awareness of our emotions. Through regular meditation, we create a space for ourselves to observe our thoughts and feelings without getting entangled in them. Over time, meditation helps us cultivate a deeper understanding of the impermanent nature of all experiences, including our emotions. The more we practice, the more we learn to navigate our emotions with calm and balance, rather than being ruled by them. Buddhism also encourages us to practice right speech, right action, and right livelihood, ethical guidelines that support our emotional well-being. By living in alignment with our values and principles, we create a harmonious environment for ourselves and others. When we practice mindfulness in all areas of our lives, we become more aware of how our actions and words impact our emotions and the emotions of those around us. Ultimately, understanding and managing emotions through Buddhist principles is not about avoiding or suppressing our feelings. It's about developing a healthy relationship with them, rooted in the understanding that emotions are transient and impermanent. By embracing the wisdom of impermanence, cultivating mindfulness, and practicing detachment, we can navigate the emotional ups and downs of life with greater peace and clarity. So, the next time you find yourself overwhelmed by a powerful emotion, remember, it's just a wave. Acknowledge it, observe it, and let it pass, knowing that, like all things, it will eventually fade. Through this practice, we can transform our emotional landscape and live with a greater sense of calm, wisdom, and emotional balance. In the fast-paced world we live in, our emotions often take control, leaving us feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and stressed. The modern mind, bombarded by external pressures, can easily lose touch with its center, leading to emotional turmoil. Buddhism offers a timeless remedy for this, an ancient practice that teaches us to regain control, find balance, and cultivate inner calm: meditation. Meditation in Buddhism is more than just a practice, it's a gateway to mastering our emotions, a tool that allows us to transcend the chaos within and around us. At its core, Buddhist meditation teaches us to stop resisting our emotions. Instead of pushing them away or reacting impulsively, we learn to acknowledge them, observe them, and sit with them without being swept away. The key here is mindfulness, the art of being fully present in the moment. We stop living in the past or obsessing over the future and focus on the present, where true peace resides. Through this practice, we slowly begin to untangle ourselves from the web of emotions that cloud our judgment and peace of mind. But what does it really mean to meditate in the Buddhist tradition? It's not just about sitting quietly and closing your eyes. It's about cultivating awareness, tuning into your breath, and creating a space where thoughts can come and go without holding on to them. In a typical Buddhist meditation, we focus on our breath, the in and out of each inhale and exhale. This simple yet profound practice helps center the mind, allowing it to settle into a state of stillness and clarity. Each breath serves as a reminder to return to the present, to let go of distractions, and to focus on the here and now. Over time, as we practice meditation, we start to see a shift in our emotional landscape. Emotions no longer have the same hold over us. We don't suppress them, but we learn to observe them without attachment. Whether it's anger, fear, or sadness, we understand that these feelings are not permanent. They come and go like waves in the ocean, and just as we wouldn't hold on to a wave, we learn not to cling to our emotions. This detachment doesn't make us less empathetic or less human. Instead, it helps us respond with wisdom and compassion, both toward ourselves and others. Through consistent meditation, we cultivate the ability to step back from our emotional reactions and view them with clarity. Instead of being driven by impulsive emotions, we learn to respond from a place of balance and understanding. We become more aware of the triggers that set off intense emotional reactions and, with time, we gain the ability to pause, breathe, and choose a more mindful response. This practice doesn't happen overnight, but as we keep returning to our breath and mindfulness, we gradually build a foundation of emotional resilience. Buddhist meditation also teaches us the profound wisdom of impermanence. By recognizing that everything, including our emotions, is transient, we can let go of the need for control. The desire to control emotions can be a major source of inner conflict. When we accept the ebb and flow of emotions, we free ourselves from the struggle to hold on to only the pleasant ones and avoid the unpleasant ones. Instead, we embrace the full spectrum of human experience, knowing that peace comes not from eliminating discomfort but from learning to navigate it with grace. As we deepen our meditation practice, we begin to see that emotional peace is not about achieving a constant state of happiness or serenity. It's about developing the capacity to face all emotions, both positive and negative, with equanimity. Meditation helps us build this inner balance, making it easier to stay calm amidst the storms of life. Whether it's a difficult conversation, a challenging situation, or an unexpected change, we can remain grounded, knowing that we have the tools to handle whatever comes our way. The benefits of meditation extend far beyond the cushion. As we carry the practice into our daily lives, we start to see the world through a lens of clarity and compassion. We respond to challenges with a sense of calm and understanding, and our relationships become more harmonious as we become less reactive and more mindful in our interactions. Meditation fosters emotional intelligence, helping us navigate the complexities of life with wisdom, patience, and grace. Ultimately, meditation is a powerful tool for emotional mastery. It allows us to cultivate a deep sense of inner peace, not by escaping from our emotions, but by learning to coexist with them. It teaches us to hold space for our feelings, to witness them without judgment, and to find the freedom that comes from letting them pass. In this way, meditation doesn't just help us cope with our emotions, it transforms our relationship with them, bringing us closer to the stillness and peace that lie at the heart of Buddhist practice. By practicing mindfulness and meditation, we discover the profound truth that true calmness comes from within, and it is available to us at any moment, no matter what chaos may surround us. In the hustle and bustle of daily life, it can often feel like maintaining calmness and emotional control is a distant dream. The constant pressure of work, the challenges of personal relationships, and the unpredictable nature of the world around us can easily leave us feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or frustrated. However, Buddhist wisdom offers us a path to emotional mastery, teaching us that inner peace is not a distant goal but something we can cultivate each day through consistent practice. But the question arises, how do we integrate these Buddhist teachings into our daily lives, making them more than just fleeting moments of tranquility during meditation? The secret to integrating Buddhist wisdom into our everyday routines lies in the practice of mindfulness, detachment, and meditation principles that don't stop at the cushion but extend throughout our interactions, choices, and responses. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that achieving inner peace requires setting aside special moments for meditation or finding time for silence. While meditation is undoubtedly powerful, it's the application of these principles to every aspect of life that leads to true emotional control and peace. The first step is consistency. Inner peace isn't something that happens once we sit on a cushion for 20 minutes each day, it's about carrying the essence of mindfulness throughout all the moments of our day. Every action, thought, and interaction offers an opportunity to practice. When you find yourself at work, stressed by a deadline or frustrated by an unexpected obstacle, notice when your mind starts to wander into anxiety or frustration. Rather than letting those feelings dominate your experience, pause, take a deep breath, and return to the present moment. This simple act of mindfulness, becoming aware of your feelings, observing them, and choosing to refocus on the task at hand, helps you maintain a sense of calm even in the midst of pressure. This practice doesn't just apply to work, it flows into every part of life, including our interactions with others. In conversations, how often do we find ourselves reacting impulsively, driven by emotions like anger, defensiveness, or impatience? Buddhist wisdom teaches us to be mindful of our responses, to step back before speaking or acting, and to choose words and actions that come from a place of calm, compassion, and clarity. Rather than letting our emotions control us, we learn to respond with wisdom, choosing to act with understanding rather than reaction. This practice of mindfulness not only helps us maintain emotional control but also fosters more harmonious and compassionate relationships. Even in the most difficult situations, when life feels chaotic and stressful, the Buddhist approach encourages us to remember that we always have the ability to choose our response. Emotional control doesn't mean suppressing our feelings or pretending that everything is okay. It means recognizing that, while we cannot control external circumstances, we can always control how we choose to respond to them. In those moments when emotions like anger or frustration arise, we can pause, observe those feelings without judgment, and choose a response that aligns with our deeper values. By choosing to practice detachment, we free ourselves from being slaves to our emotions, recognizing that emotions are temporary and that we are not defined by them. The power of integrating these Buddhist teachings into our daily life lies in their ability to transform us from within. By practicing mindfulness and detachment regularly, we start to rewire our habitual emotional responses. The more we cultivate a sense of presence and awareness, the easier it becomes to maintain calmness in even the most challenging circumstances. Over time, this emotional resilience becomes second nature. Rather than reacting impulsively or becoming overwhelmed by difficult emotions, we find ourselves able to maintain a sense of equanimity, peace, and clarity. But integration goes beyond just the ability to remain calm in difficult situations. It also brings profound transformation to how we approach life as a whole. With Buddhist wisdom, we develop a deeper sense of self-awareness, realizing the patterns of our thoughts and behaviors that lead to emotional turbulence. We begin to recognize the triggers that cause stress or frustration and can make conscious choices to avoid or address them in more constructive ways. As we continue to practice, we develop a sense of emotional intelligence, knowing how to handle difficult emotions without being consumed by them, and how to nurture positive feelings like gratitude, joy, and love. Ultimately, integrating Buddhist wisdom into daily life is a journey, not a destination. It's not about reaching a state of constant calm or perfection, but about learning to navigate the ebb and flow of emotions with greater awareness and balance. Each step, no matter how small, counts in building a life of emotional resilience. When we practice mindfulness, detachment, and meditation in every aspect of our lives, we slowly begin to transform our experiences from within. We stop chasing external sources of peace and start cultivating a deep, unshakable calm that arises from within ourselves. The beauty of this journey is that it doesn't require extraordinary circumstances or drastic changes in our lives. We don't need to isolate ourselves from the world or retreat into silence for days on end. Instead, we find peace in the very midst of our daily activities, whether we're at work, with family, or facing life's challenges. The more we practice mindfulness and detachment, the more we experience the transformative power of Buddhist wisdom, which leads us to a life where emotional balance and inner peace become our natural state. The key lies in the consistency with which we practice, making every moment an opportunity to choose peace, clarity, and emotional control. Through these daily practices, we can gradually reshape our lives and build a foundation of lasting tranquility, no matter what comes our way.